But we got some sound from Mike Gundy. So
I haven't seen it yet.
You understand that Mike Gundy's...
You don't know anything that's going on with Mike Gundy?
Give some context before.
Yeah.
All I see right now is a still screenshot of Mike Gundy, and he looks just, as a entity, ridiculous.
But to be fair, a still shot when you're in the middle of a video, you can catch people blinking. I mean, you can find any still shot.
It's not his facial expression, David. It's just Mike Gundy looking like Mike Gundy.
Does he have a high and tight mullet?
Yes, he does.
Jesus.
So the story is that he has an All-American player named Ollie Gordon II, and there's alcohol, drunk driving involved, and it turns out that you'd think there'd be a punishment, but it turns out that in his mind, the punishment would only be we're going to play him more, not less. And he was serious, but that's not the worst part about what happened with Mike Gundy.
So I looked it up on my phone. What would be the legal limit? Like in Oklahoma is .08, and Ollie was .1. So I looked it up, and it was based on body weight. Not to get into the legal side of it, but I thought really 2 or 3 beers or 4. I'm not justifying what Ollie did. I'm telling you what decision I made. Well, I thought I've probably done that 1,000 times in my life. And I, it's just fine. So I got lucky. People get lucky. Ollie made a decision that he wished he could have done better. But when I talked to Ollie, I told him, I said, you're lucky you got out light because you make a lot of money.
I'm incensed because he then tried to cover it up. He got in trouble. His PR department and
No. You got in trouble for that?
So
What was wrong with that?
The claim was, no, I didn't say I was drunk driving 1,000 times. I said I've made 1,000 bad decisions in my life, except that's a dangling modifier. He said he got lucky, meaning he got lucky he didn't get banged for drunk driving.
We have another clip.
He's going to play, and I'm going to do what we think is best for Oklahoma State football, and I think it's best for Ollie to play. If there's any punishment, it's make him carry the ball 50 times in the first game.
Is that the police coming for Mike Gundy?
It should be the AD coming for his job because he would not survive this if I'm the AD of Oklahoma State.
I mean, you've said that you're incensed and you're upset, but you haven't explained specifically what about it.
He's got a responsibility. He's got a responsibility to lead men, to lead young men, whether they're employees, whether they're making money with NIL, whatever age they are. He has a responsibility. He is the face of a university. The football coach is the face. And what he is saying, and 4 days ago, was it 4 days ago?
Can we pause for a second to acknowledge that I believe the audience should be aware of what has been happening, which is that there is a giant fire alarm.
It happens all the time.
Happening. Okay,
Ignore
very
it.
good.
It's
So we're not going
totally
to
fine.
die?
No.
Okay.
And we
It's
all
a very
gonna
boy
die.
who cried wolf situation here where the big one's coming at some point, but no one's ever concerned because it's a daily occurrence.
And so when they say in your ear, if you're going to be in that chair, when they say ignore the alarm and keep going, what that means is you don't need to talk about it on the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, not sure I agree with that as the host of the show.
I believe in you, Chris.
Thank you,
So
David.
at what point does so Mike Gundy deserves to obviously be criticized for this ridiculous take, but at what point
Is it a take? This is what bothered me about it. It's not like a Stephen A. Smith take. In his mind, what he was saying is, hey, we all drink and drive. And 4 days ago, what's the name of the Minnesota Vikings player? I believe he just died and got killed by a drunk driver.
Absolutely.
4 days ago.
So the point that I'm making is I think it goes higher than Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy is not new to this type of nonsense. We were doing a little reading about Mike Gundy's past this morning, and he allegedly is responsible for a lot of, I guess, recruiting violations is one thing that he's been alleged of, but that's not as awful as some of the things that he's been accused of as far as like interviewing the orange hostesses, and which are like the women who are there to welcome the recruits and arranging for them to have a good time with some of the recruits. He was like, these are accusations.
Allegedly.
I said allegedly twice. Oh, you got nervous? Get a third allegedly?
I'm tied to you.
There needs to be a leader of men, and Mike Gundy is not that leader. You're talking about things that he allegedly did. Right. This is not alleged. This is his, unless it's a photoshopped. I've seen that on the internet recently.
Oh, like deepfakes?
Where people are pretending they're talking, but it's not them talking.
Pretty sure this isn't that.
So this is him.
Yeah.
So he
I
really
think
did say this?
He released a statement afterwards. This is a real thing, and this is really how he feels. I think the concerning part is, you're right, the leadership of men situation is like a cliche, but I get the point. It is about the example that you set. And to be fair, I don't want to get up here and get all grandstandy, holier than thou, and act like I haven't been a part of teams where it is understood that we say certain things behind or when there are no cameras, and then we say certain things to the camera. The shocking thing to me is not that Mike Gundy feels or says the things that he says. The shocking thing to me is that he's been a coach since, remember, I'm a man, I'm 40. That was like 15 years ago. Like
He's 56 now.
The shocking thing is, I'm a man, I'm 56. I've been a head coach of a major college football program for this long, and you put a mic in front of my face, and I'm still stupid?
So we're on the same page, because what goes on, and people have called me hypocritical because of this, but what goes on when you're running a team is that I'm going to move right past that, Stu, and I'm going to say...
I want to fight him. Call my dog a hypocrite.
Do you have a dog? So here's my issue.
We're gonna have.
Can we have a running list?
Can we get another journal note for David?
Yes, Dominique.
No. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that I love that we are jocular, but this is not, to me, this was not a jocular moment. And I took it seriously on Nothing Personal. I'll take it seriously here in front of people. There are different things that go on when there's no cameras in a clubhouse. There are, and we've acknowledged that. But this is so irresponsible that you cannot and should not be able to come back from that by claiming you were talking about something else, which is what everyone does when they're caught. No, you misunderstood me. Or no, I'm a sex addict. Or no, I need rehab for whatever when I get caught. This is him making it okay. He is making the behavior okay, and it's just not okay. Talk to Kyrie Jackson's family. It's just not okay.
But nobody expects anything to actually happen here, or do you? Do you think that this is a Rubicon for Mike Gundy? This is finally the thing.
If Ollie Gordon were a worse player, I don't think Mike Gundy survives it. But I think that
if Ollie Gordon was a worse player, I don't think Ollie Gordon survives it. And so there would be no uproar for Mike Gundy. The only reason why he's getting 50 carries is not to be a punishment to Ollie Gordon. It's because you give him 50 carries and he said it in that statement. He said, we're going to do what's best for Oklahoma State. That was the first thing he said before he said anything about I'm offended or appalled by his actions, or we need to make sure that we're raising our men to take responsibility. He said, I do the same shit. Let's get a dub. Basically, let's translate it that like, let's try to win this Heisman, Ollie.
All of this reminds me, David especially, of like how, like what role sometimes the media has to play if we're going to live in a society. Like I see this on the internet, I see this now for the first time, and I'm like, we can move past this as an internet, as a people who are online, like within an hour. Like, oh, yeah, Mike Gundy said something stupid. I see people saying stupid things who are employed, who are everywhere all of the time. They may even get elected. The thing about what the media has to do, though, is be the thing that Dominique said he wanted to avoid, which is we have to be the scold. Like, in the absence of a school that's going to do something, we have to be on some serious level, and we're a show, of course, that wants to be both stupid and smart. We have to do the smart thing of saying, like, we all actually agree that this feels like a boundary we can't take unseriously. Like, does this feel fireable? Yes to all of us on, like, a moral level. And maybe it's the Lifetime Achievement Award of stupidity. But it's just like, yeah, I guess that's what the media has to do, which is where the media gets to be campaigned against all of the time.
Some things last more than an hour. Some things
and
have
I think
legs.
that's what Pablo's point is.
So this to me is one of those
But
things.
how do they last more than an hour? You need someone to be like, sorry to break up the jokes, but this is up.
You need a booster. You need someone. It's like when sponsors walk away from a team because you're associating with the player. You need that. And the sponsors are the boosters. You need someone to come in and say, hey, we don't want to be associated now with this program.
But we're also assuming that, like, boosters have this, like, moral high ground that they live on. Like, they just want to be relevant, right? And, like, Oklahoma State is not, right? But with the new playoff system, I think they were ranked like 16th last year. Like, they're right on the edge of relevancy there. And Ollie Gordon, I think, is the best running back in college football. So are they going to risk getting rid of their coach and then maybe not being relevant anymore over these comments? Like, they probably won't take that moral stand.
They're probably going to agree with Gundy that they should do what's best for Oklahoma State.
And give him 50 carries. Maybe that is a punishment. Does he normally get? Do we know how many his average carries are? What if his average carries are only 20 and he really does view 50 as a punishment because he'd be all tired?
I think that this is...
His high was 34 in a game last year.
So I guess that's a punishment. He's going to have to work harder.
Part of the challenges, I think, with being like a intelligent, modern person is that you are capable of rationalizing anything. Is I could understand, and depending on your perspective and where you are in this situation, I could understand how someone in that school would say that, okay, Ollie did something stupid, but Ollie is so important to everything that we are doing here. We're not going to punish everyone else by punishing Ollie for doing something stupid. And I also could understand them coming to that same rationale. I'm not saying it's right, and I think Pablo's right to call me, frankly, personally, to the carpet and saying that I'm like pointing out that I understand that these things are said and we see them before. The difference is that he's saying it publicly. I'm completely comfortable with that, but I think part of it also is like what, and this is just being completely honest, it's not a defense, but I feel like what is actually going to happen? Because I know how this works. And because he said this does not mean that that people are going to behave any differently. I think that a lot of college football coaches, and I've played college football and professional football, the point is we need to go win games. And anything that gets in the way of that is going to be a problem. Now, if we create a big enough stink, or if the media creates a big enough stink around this Ollie Gordon thing, then that gets in the way of them making money. It gets in the way of sponsorships. It gets to the point where people aren't buying tickets, where people are choosing not to go there because of it, or it's distracting their players. Then there's a reaction to it. So I guess that's...
Dominique, did you really need to do mental gymnastics to go pro player on this story out of nowhere, where you could have just been like, yeah, it's sort of up. You shouldn't have done that. Isn't that the way simpler take?
Thanks, Charlie.
Damn. I'm not going to say
seat.
I'm not going to say the trend I'm noticing with who Charlie is at war with today, but
Their first game's also against South Dakota State, so you could be like, you know what, Ollie, you're not playing the first game, but South Dakota State was undefeated
It's the
last year.
Harbaugh, Michigan plan. Suspend him for the games early that don't matter and say now everything's okay.
The problem with that is he's a Heisman candidate, and winning a Heisman trophy means a lot more to the institution than like it can change the way that they're going. And the Heisman is a lot based on the statistics, and so you are missing a game where you could possibly get 3 touchdowns and 250 yards. That's going to change your Heisman possibilities.
what you're saying is that Ollie Gordon is no fourth starter.